The idea that it is really important is the connection between Plato and the Middle Ages. In fact, in this sense, if we think about also the ancient Greek society in relation with the Middle Ages, we know that technically, in relation with the idea of religion, these two type of societies were organic societies. How these type of societies were organic society? On the one hand, the ancient Greek society it was an organic society because each Greek city-state believed in a specific type of gods and goddesses, but at the same time, this type of religion it was in common. Therefore, each city-state, each Greek, each federal state into the cities, into the idea of Greek society between city-states and between federal states believed in the ancient religion of the Greeks. At the same time, the Greeks had a specific type of costumes that were really similar. This is another type of topic really important. And at the same time, there is in any case a specific type of topic that tried to think about a new type of society relation with, at the same time, a new type of organic society with the demiurge of Plato, for example. But this type of critics derive from Pythagoras. In fact, this type of structure, this type of society, according to the metaphysical point of view, derived in relation with the connection between society and metaphysics. Therefore, according to the main critics of the polytheism of the ancient Greek society, technically derived from Pythagoras and arrived to Plato and to Aristotle, mainly arrived to think that, but also from the first philosophers, according to the history of philosophy, Thales, derived from the monism. This type of monism, according to Thales, it was water. According to Plato, it was the demiurge. Founded a specific, founded, founds, founds a specific type of origins of the universe. At the same time, technically, the architect of the universe. At the same time, this type of connection explains that there is an eternal thing that produces something, and at the same time, this eternal thing is outside the time and produces the time. This is the main theory of Plato, but also the main theory of Aristotle in relation with, for example, Demiurge and the first act of Aristotle. Therefore, the theological idea, the man in relation with a rational theology, and this is really interesting because the idea of monism it was in relation during the Middle Ages in the discovery of Plato and Aristotle with the idea that if we have to compare the ancient Greek society and the Middle Ages, the idea that the society it was in relation with a specific type of organic point of view. If the ancient Greek society saw a specific type of critics against this type of organic point of view, in relation with the idea of demiurge of Plato or first act of Aristotle, in relation with the idea of monism against polytheism, the idea of the age of Christianity, the idea of the Middle Ages derived a specific type of new type of point of view in relation with the idea of Jesus Christ that was born during the ancient Roman Empire, that technically, historically arrived to rethink the ancient Greek point of view with this type of Romanization, but in particular with this type of inclusion that connect different type of cultures, in particular, for example, the important philosophers and orators that as slaves arrived in Rome, and then these were important in the instruction of the important Roman boys, the future Roman citizens. At the same time, there is another type of topic that it is really important in this sense, the idea that the age of Christianity, it was in relation with an organic society, a specific type of organic structure that thinks that there is a specific type of God, the God of Christianity. Technically, this type of history arrived to think in relation with Carlomagno and his synchronization, in relation with Pope and the division of power that it was theorized at the beginning during the end of the Western Roman Empire by Pope Gelasius. This is really interesting because in any case there is a connection and a critic. Technically, historically, the ancient Greek city-states in relation with the independence and an organic point of view with the Pythia, with the Oracle of Delphi that explain the interpretation of the gods and the goddesses of Olympus, but at the same time the main critics of this type of structure, Plato, that explain that in this sense the idea of eternal thing in relation with the idea of city-state connects these type of point of views with an organic system, metaphysical and physics, to have a specific type of politics, and Plato arrived to theorize a confederation between city-states because the metaphysical point of view. According to Plato, the rational man, it is important to rational man had to comprehend this connection, metaphysics and physics, to understand the politics, to defend the city-state in relation with the architect of demiurge. At the same time, the Christian religion in the Middle Ages derived a specific type of defense in relation with the Christianity, in relation with, for example, the main example, it was the Crusades, that according to different type of religion, clearly, in this sense, for example, the idea that there is the equal rights between the men in relation with Jesus Christ, and also, for example, in criticize Plato, against Plato, the God that arrived into the earth, and it is the Son of God, Jesus Christ, that became material, and Plato, for example, criticized the material thing, the body, because the soul is the body. Jesus Christ, instead, on the contrary, it is the material thing, it is in the earth, and arrived from the metaphysical point of view to the physical point of view. But in this sense, in any case, the Christian Middle Ages rethink, as in the ancient Greek society, an organic society, and if the ancient Greek city-state had an organic society in relation with the polytheism, and Plato criticized this society, for also Aristotle, etc., according to the Middle Ages, this type of society is actually organic in relation with his type of religion, that, the contrary, instead criticizing the idea of ancient Greek point of view, try to rethink the organic society of the ancients, but on the contrary, derived a specific type of new type of movement in relation with the idea of spiritual power and temporal power, to develop a specific type of idea of law, right, and idea of division between religion and right. In fact, the right, it was in relation with his independence, but at the same time, the religion, it was important in relation with the idea of the equal rights, and at the same time in relation with the idea of the metaphysics idea of right in relation with your next life. This is really important because we know that there is a specific type of connection between Plato and Middle Ages, and why the European right became important. Became important because there was a specific type of connection, also in relation with the confederation. Plato theorized the first type of confederation between Greece. In the Middle Ages, there was a specific type of confederation against the idea of, for example, the conquest of the Muslims, because the Muslims wanted, in this sense, as a historical example, wanted to conquer the Christian Middle Ages, and therefore, according to the idea of the Pope, the first Pope, Urban II, to defend also the Byzantine Empire or Western Roman Empire, develop a specific type of deal between the Christians, and develop a specific type of connection with the Crusades to defend these territories. So this is another type of topic really important, because the idea of confederation, the idea of allies, the idea of connection between cultures and with different type of rights and laws, but in relation with a specific type of the same religion, in the same type of Christianity point of view. Therefore, we know that in this sense there is the Christian God. This type of connection develop an organic society to limit the conflict between us. Technically, the law, in fact, in any case, stayed independence. In fact, also the wars between kings in the Middle Ages were a fact. In fact, for example, against France, against England. But at the same time, the idea of crusades were important because the Pope wanted to limit the conflicts between the kings, the kingdoms of Europe, to unify the idea of the same type of religion. Obviously, we have to understand that we are explaining we are saying we are explaining about a specific type of period of history that began in particular from the 8th and 9th century AD and continue in relation with the idea of the age of Christianity. In this sense, the idea of monism, the idea of one God that architect things and in the end arrive to be a specific type of human, of man that suffer for the others, as Jesus Christ, anticipate the idea of Illuminism. Because Illuminism explained that polytheism is better than monism, but the history of Europe is in relation with a specific type of God that is only one, as the produce, as the product of the constitutionalism. Without this type of connections, we couldn't explain the idea of constitutionalism that founded the freedom of Europe. And this is really important, and the Western world. And this is really important, and it is to understand. Bye.